Most people would say that searching for a small or mid-sized business to buy is not much fun. In fact, most of the time, it's frustrating. Lots of dead ends. And then when searchers find a worthwhile opportunity, they'll probably have to compete with other searchers, which means sometimes searchers have to outbid the most ignorant buyers. Not a good thing. Keep listening if you want to know how the savviest searchers find and buy the right businesses the right way. I'm Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate. For more than 30 years, I've been helping people find and buy the right businesses the right way. I'm not a business broker. You're going to hear my conversation with Alex Pawle. He and I collaborated during his search and then all the way to the completion of his acquisition. He'll cover some of his trials and tribulations, and then he'll tell us how he got what he wanted and make the deal they want to make. Okay, Alex, start at the beginning. What did you encounter and how did you handle it?
Well, Ted, how about I start at the end? I bought a manufacturing company in a win-win deal on my own terms, which also suited the seller, and thanks to your advice. And actually, I'd like to tell you now about how I got there. I started searching as I was running my existing company, the one I founded, and thinking, the processes are very well tuned here. I'm not adding much. I've scored all the easy wins years ago. So I wanted to apply my skills to a business that really needs my help, rather than a finely tuned machine with systems and processes. Well, I guess you could say, I was a bit bored. So I started looking in 2017. And there are many businesses out there, they've got good product ranges, great staff and good customers, but they don't have excellent systems and procedures. So I thought my job as an investor in SMEs is to go in there and improve the IT, write and implement procedures, and just to make sure that the business is protected in case a key member of staff walks out or a catastrophic event occurs. So I want to build a clear margin of safety in each business I own. So I sold my business in 19, and I teamed up with a longtime friend of mine who also sold his business in 19. And we've been writing to and calling dozens of business in our local area to identify potential sellers. So our process is to use highly personalized direct mail to get in touch with business owners of pre-qualified companies, and then of course always to follow up by phone. I have a team of 3 PAs to help me.
Wow, so this was not something you did all by yourself.
No, we are a good team, but I must say, even though we're a good team, progress was really slow. So I invested a lot of time and money in this process, and it took me ages to sign my first deal. So I started looking, you remember this, Ted, mid-17, but it's only in late 19 that I signed the LOI, that would lead to my deal in early 20. That's 2 years and a half to completion.
But Alex, I wasn't part of that during 2017 and 2018, was I?
Well, you should have been, Ted. It would have saved me a lot of time.
Okay, just for those listening, I didn't pipe in with this deal flow until the end of 2019, pretty much, or maybe the middle of 2019. So that's when we really started rocking and rolling. Is that right?
That's correct.
So what happened? You're out there searching, getting better at it. What were some of the things that were stumbling blocks that you somehow had to pound through, get around?
I'd say my main mistakes was not understanding seller psychology, not understanding how business owners think when they want to sell the business they founded. Another mistake was not going fast enough. So that goes in hand with not speaking to enough companies to find the right one. Another mistake I made was not looking at the right companies. Maybe we can talk about that a bit later. And finally, I'd say my main mistake is not speaking to owners that were motivated enough. Ted, I must warn your listeners, you need in the acquisition process to be extremely patient and follow the right advice and process to acquire a company, because it can be a long and frustrating process. And I believe that only the most persistent will reach their acquisition goal, because this is a very complex and messy marketplace.
I'd say that's one of the best tips you've said so far, that persistence. Okay, so continue the story.
Well, having successful acquisition, I was thinking about what I would have done differently. And I think the one thing I would have done differently is I would have targeted more profitable businesses. The infinite majority of businesses don't make money, don't have any staff, and are actually one-person businesses. And then you have many companies that just make enough to pay their living expenses for the owner for the year. That's what's called a lifestyle business. And actually, it was the case for a long time in my own business. I mean, it's like, I need 30K or 50K or 100K to maintain my standard of living. Well, your brain understands that and just steers your business towards making exactly what you need.
So really what you're saying, your tip is don't buy a job, buy a company.
Exactly. Because if you only make a small nominal profit like that, well, the investor that buys your business is not going to be able to afford a professional manager to run the business and deliver sufficient profits to get their money back. So I spent a lot of time, talking to businesses that are too small to be acquired, and I wasted a huge amount of time. Knowing what I know now, I would have targeted larger businesses who have enough profits to hire employees to replace the owner and to pay the investor back. And that's actually, Ted, one of the first things you told me when I hired you in mid-19.
What about buyer competition? Did you come across any businesses worth buying that you were bumped out of the way because somebody else was willing to move more quickly or maybe not do due diligence or offer more money? Did that happen, or were you able to get to these owners and you decide whether you do a deal?
It happened a few times, but and actually my heart broke a bit when last week I learned that 2 businesses I had bid on had been sold to someone else. However, for maybe 100 businesses I spoke to, only 5 sales were made to someone else, and that is a tiny minority. So I'd say in this country, as in the US, the majority of businesses don't get sold.
When you're in this country, you mean England, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm in the USA, folks, and same thing. The great majority of businesses offered for sale do not sell. What else, Alex? Anything else that you want to leave our listeners with?
Yes, actually, I would like to talk about the sector I'm searching in, because when I started my search, I focused on companies I had a personal interest in. But I wouldn't do that again. Simply it's preferable to look at a business's fundamentals rather than investing too much emotion in a sector or in a deal. And a company won't perform better because you love what you do. It's going to perform well because it's got a market of customers and it's got a good team, good processes. So I learned to focus my search less about what mattered for me and more about what made business sense. So currently, for example, I'm focusing on manufacturing companies because I think here in the UK, we have a clear advantage in manufacturing high added value stuff using great R&D.
Can you tell us the name of the company you bought if somebody wants to Google it?
Yeah, certainly. Look us up on the internet. We're called Pegasus Precision, and we're based in Southeast England.
And how could somebody contact you if they want to follow up?
Just look me up on LinkedIn. I'm very glad to speak. And you can also look at our searcher's website, kentbusinessinvestors.co.uk.
Okay, one more thing. You've been in the business that you bought now since how many months?
6.
So you've been about 6 months into it. Leave our listeners with the biggest tip you can give them about when you encounter a business owner and that owner has a business that you want to buy. How do you make yourself compelling where that owner chooses you, that owner wants to stay with you, the owner wants to go through all the trouble basically it is to sell a business? How can you from the get-go establish that kind of relationship?
I'd say really it boils down to 3 words: be professional, respectful, and diligent, and more importantly, share his vision for the future and offer to take his business or her business where he or her would have liked to take it in the future.
Okay, folks, that tip is one of the best. Anything else?
No, that's it. Well, thanks for interviewing me on your podcast, Ted.
Okay, here are 2 more resources that are helping people who are wanting to buy a business. First, my book for searchers, How to Prepare Yourself and Find the Right Business to Buy. And then my other book is for when you found the deal that you want to do. You can avoid mistakes and make a better deal. How to buy the right business the right way. You'll save time, you'll save money, you will achieve better deals, but you have to do what the savviest buyers do. Go to my website, partneroncall.com. I'm Ted Leverette, the business buyer advocate,